corridors are not just providing extra energy security and much needed energy for the regions, wider region, but it also provides extra flexibility, options, and diversification of the routes for all the partners. I hope that discussions today and further days within these IDB meetings will provide positive contribution. As a participant of the energy sector, I hope that we will continue working with our partners, including the IDB, for the regional security and improving infrastructure connectivity and sustainable growth in the region. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zainalov, Deputy Minister of Energy. And thank you for setting the stage for the next session, which is the moderated session. And I'm glad to introduce Mr. Idris Ajah. Oh, the DG is here. So I'll just call on the DG, Director General, Global Practices of the Islamic Development Bank, to deliver his remarks. Welcome.
Thank you, Alaji. I understand I was not supposed to be here today, but I'm replacing the Vice President for Operation who could not make it because of last-minute assignments. So I'm very glad to be here, Excellencies, colleagues, valued partners, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. And it is my pleasure to welcome you to this important discussion on regional energy interconnections for sustainable development. And at the onset, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to the government of Azerbaijan and the Ministry of Energy for hosting here in the beautiful city of Baku, and for helping us facilitate this timely dialogue. We are grateful for your partnership and hospitality. Today's discussion speaks directly to one of the central development challenges facing many of our member countries. It is about asking ourselves how to provide reliable, affordable, and sustainable energy at the scale required to support growth, create jobs, strengthen services, and improve people's livelihoods. No country can address this challenge fully in isolation. Energy resources are not evenly distributed. Demand patterns differ from one country to another. Some countries have strong hydropower potential, others have excellent solar or wind resources, with others have growing demand that requires access to more diversified and reliable supply. Regional energy interconnections allow countries to turn this diversity into a shared strength. They help move electricity from where it can be generated most efficiently to where it is needed most. They can reduce costs, improve system reliability, support renewable energy integration, and deepen economic cooperation between countries. For the Islamic Development Bank, this agenda is not new. Regional integration is strongly aligned with the bank's strategic directions and with our commitment to supporting sustainable infrastructure, private sector participation, innovative financing, and partnerships across our member countries. Energy connectivity is one of the clearest examples of how regional cooperation can translate into concrete development impact. We have seen this through projects such as the OMVG high voltage interconnection in West Africa, linking Guinea, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, and Senegal through a regional transmission network. This project is not only about moving power across borders, it is about enabling cleaner electricity supply, improving reliability, and supporting electricity trade, and expanding the benefits of regional cooperation to households, businesses, and communities. This is the kind of impact we need to deliver at scale. At the same time, we know that regional interconnections are complex. They are not only engineering projects. They require political commitments, strong institutions, sound preparations, viable financing, harmonized regulations, and trust among countries. The physical infrastructure must be matched by the rules, agreements, and operational arrangements that makes cross-border energy trade reliable and sustainable. This is where development institutions, governments, utilities, regulators, and the private sector all have important roles to play. The Islamic Development Bank Group is ready to continue working with its member countries and partners to support both the infrastructure and the enabling frameworks, to support the infrastructure and the enabling framework required for successful regional energy cooperation. Our discussion today should therefore be practical and focused on a critical question: how can we make regional energy cooperation deliver visible, lasting benefits for people, economies, and future generations? The deliberations during the next hour should help us reflect on what has worked, what remains difficult, and how we can move from broad commitment to implementable regional projects that deliver benefits. I'm confident that the experience and perspectives in the room will help us advance the conversation. I would like to conclude by recognizing our energy team for their unwavering effort to make this work. I will also recognize all partners involved in putting this together, and then the distinguished panel of speakers that will come after me. With that, I thank you and hand over to Alaji and Idrissa.
Thank you very much, Dr. Isa, for those insightful remarks and for also highlighting ISDB's commitment to regional integration when it comes to the energy sector. We'll now move to the panel discussions, and as I said earlier, it's going to be moderated by Mr. Idrissa Jah, who's the Director for Economic and Social Infrastructure Department of the Islamic Development Bank. Mr. Jah, you have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you, Alaji. Good morning to all, and few words of gratitude first to start with to the government of Azerbaijan for welcoming us in this beautiful city of Baku, and for the minister to have taken time to join us today in this session. I would like also to thank DG Isa for the remarks following those of the Minister Zaidanov. And we would like also to extend warm greetings to the panel members who have traveled far to come and join us and make this panel rich based on their different experiences. I will call them in a minute to join us on the floor, but I would like before also to recognize the efforts of the organizing team, and I want to appreciate the presence of the manager of economic infrastructure in the bank, who is in charge of the energy sector, Brother Hussein, and Alaji, who has been for the past 2.5 months working relentlessly to make this happening. I want also to appreciate the presence in the room of the director in charge of regional integration and the manager in charge of regional integration, Sister May and Brother Kadir. The subject is very pertinent also to your endeavors. So now it's the time to call on stage Deputy Minister Majidi, who will be represented today by his homologue in the government of Tajikistan, to join us on stage. He's the first Deputy Minister of Finance in the government of Tajikistan. And he's very knowledgeable also about energy, and he has the money. that would help us also develop infrastructure. We will welcome Sir Gerard Cooper-Coles, Vice President at AIIB, who has also been willing to join us today. Following my brother Abdoulaye Dia, but this is an accidental homonymy who share the same name. Abdoulaye Dia is the Secretary General of the West Africa Power Pool. And last but not least, our friend Siegfried from the GIZ, who is the head of operations of GIZ International Services. Hello. Okay. So I will start by reminding the audience that the team that gathers us today provides a very important platform that showcases how cross-border energy infrastructure can convert digital regional cooperation from a policy aspiration to practical development outcome that touches all the populations. Electricity interconnections allow countries not only to pool resources, but also to smoothen demand patterns, optimize generation, share reserves of energy, improve grid reliability, and expand economic space for renewable energy and private investment. So therefore, the relevance of this agenda, as you could see, given the striking numbers of lack of energy access in the world today, give us some sense of urgency to respond to some of the critical questions that we'll go about soon. Because there is urgency. Today, hundreds of millions of people still lack access, sustainable access to energy, mostly in Africa and Asia. And pooling the experiences sitting in the, here in the room may allow us to find pathways to tackle this crisis. So I will also emphasize on the fact that regional power integrations are not only about transmission line. It's not only about physical infrastructure connectivity and power exchange. They are also platforms for country cooperation and sometimes even peace building. And we have that experience in several parts of the world, including East Africa, Central Asia, West Africa. And the panelists will be able to talk about that. There are platforms for cooperation between countries and people, but there are also opportunities for sustained industrial development through low-cost electricity generation, but also economic transformation at large in support of sustainable development. So the central question we will have to talk about today is around how do we move from physical interconnection of assets to functioning regional energy markets that are reliable, commercially sustainable, and development impact oriented. And for that, the composition of the panel could not be more relevant. So I will start with a preliminary question to all panelists, and they would be given about 3 to 4 minutes to share with us lessons and opinions about how they see the strategic value of regional interconnections in general, and what general also lessons they have derived from the more strategic infrastructure interventions they have seen in this regard in the region. Following that, we will go for a first round of questions that will be more specific to the context of each one. So I will start maybe by Deputy Minister Majidi. So what can you share with us in terms of the strategic value of regional interconnections and the general lessons you have derived from the major undertakings that have happened with your country and in the region in that regard?
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I would like to thank for the opportunity and for the invitation to participate in this panel discussion. The topic of today's discussion very important and actual for our region, and particularly for Tajikistan, providing energy security, energy independence. It is actually one of the strategic goals of the country, which has been reflected in our national strategy 2030. But at the same time, for Tajikistan, national energy security and regional interconnection, regional electricity trade are not competing objectives. They are mutual reinforcing each other. Our first priority is always to ensure reliable and affordable electricity supply for our people, for industry sector and public service. But at the same time, Tajikistan has significant hydropower potential, including seasonal surplus generation, particularly during period when water availability is high. Regional interconnections such as CASA 1000 create an opportunity to use that surplus productivity by supplying clean energy to neighboring and regional markets. Mentioning CASA 1000, just want to elaborate a little bit about this project. This is one of the biggest transmission line project in the region, which is connecting not only the Central Asia, but it is one of the rare project which is connecting inter-region, Central Asia and South Asia. The energy which is generating by Kyrgyz Republic and Tajik are transmitting to the South Asia, to the Afghanistan and Pakistan. And I want to use this opportunity also to express gratitude to the Islam Development Bank, which was one of the main co-financer to this project. And an example of this project, when we have started discussing on the design of this project, and in the middle we found out that this is not only about electricity trade project. It's about something more broader. It is a platform where we could discuss other interconnections, other project which is integrating, which is connecting these two big regions, Central Asia and South Asia. And after preparing feasibility study, at the same time, there was a lot of ideas to use this platform for developing cooperation in other areas. And one of them, it was digitalization. And by this, there was a new idea which mostly came from the World Bank group, is a digital CASA, which is connecting the optic fiber lines to these two regions. So we can see that electricity trade, electricity interconnection is something more broader than only touch energy sector, but it could connect other spheres as well. So that's at the same time energy which is producing from different countries. For example, Tajikistan, as I mentioned, is very rich by hydropower generating. and this kind of generation can provide the balanced capacity to regulate and balancing the regional electricity capacity, which is in nowadays developed very much based on renewable energies. So having this interconnection and having different type of generating of electricity, it will help us to also provide a balanced capacity through each countries.
Thank you very much, Minister Majidi, and you definitely went beyond intra-regional connection to inter-regional connection, and electricity has been a platform that allowed all the type of connections to prosper for economic development of the region. So thank you very much. We can go to Siegfried, and for the same question, if you can share in about 3 minutes what has been your general view on the value of power interconnections and some of the broad initial lessons learned before we go deeper into the subject.
Thank you very much, Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, partners and friends. Thank you very much. It's really a great pleasure to be here. As was said earlier, when we talk about regional energy interconnections, we are no longer talking about transmission, only about transmission infrastructure. We're talking about resilience, we're talking about energy security, we're talking about economic cooperation, and increasingly we're also talking about to make the clean energy transition work at scale, as His Excellency was just saying. Across Africa, Central Asia, and the MENA region, countries are scaling solar, wind, and hydropower. This makes flexibility, balancing, reliable transmission, and regional coordination more important than ever. So no country can solve all these challenges alone, and the potential is significant. In West Africa alone, integrated power trade generate an estimated $5 to $8 billion per year in cost savings. So the case for regional interconnection is very strong. But experience across regions, our experience across regions shows one important point. Infrastructure creates connections, institutions create integration. So because in practice, the difficult part is not only to build the line, the difficult part is to make the line work day after day, across borders, across institutions, across regulatory systems, and across different national priorities. This requires more than engineering. So it requires trust, common rules, clear operational procedures, and institutions that are able to cooperate over many, many years. So interconnection only create value when utilities, regulators, system operators, and regional institutions are ready to use them. This means working on market rules, on grid codes, on operational procedures, on planning capacity. It sounds very tedious, right? And commercial arrangements, and on the institutional routines that make regional power trade possible in practice. We see this in West Africa, where regional power trade depends not only on physical infrastructure, but also on operational coordination and market readiness. We see it in the Western Balkans, when electricity market development, renewable energy integration, and alignment with wider European energy frameworks are central to regional integration. And we see it, for example, also in the Ukraine, where resilient energy systems depend not only on assets, but also on institutions that can respond under pressure. So energy infrastructure is not only about supply, it is about security, continuity, and institutional resilience, because interconnections can strengthen resilience, but only if the system around them are prepared, only if the institutions are strong, and only if coordination mechanisms are trusted and operational. So once again, I'll repeat that. Infrastructure creates interconnection, institutions create integration. The same applies to broader energy transition programs, and I'll come just such as Get Transform. Get Transform supports partner countries and regions in shaping energy transitions, strengthening regulatory frameworks, and preparing the conditions for investment. The focus is often not only on one single project, and this has been said earlier by the Director General, it is on the enabling environment. The rules, institutions, and capacities that allow renewable energy, regional markets, and private investment to move forward. So the most successful projects are therefore never only infrastructure projects. They are long-term cooperation projects. So many countries no longer ask, how do we finance infrastructure? And my colleagues on the panel will probably have better answers and more answers to that. They increasingly ask, how do we make regional integration work in practice? How do we move from political agreement to implementation? How do we strengthen utilities and regulators? How do we manage safeguards and procurement? And how do we reduce risks enough to mobilize private capital? These questions determine whether a regional interconnection becomes a functioning market asset or remains an underused piece of infrastructure. So from an implementation perspective, technical assistance, and that is my job, can and add value in 3 areas. First, before financing, helping partners better prepare projects. This includes feasibility studies, institutional analysis, stakeholder coordination, regulatory readiness. But it also, because private capital usually does not come at the idea stage. It comes when projects are mature and risks are understood, when responsibilities are clear, and when the policy and regulatory environment is predictable. Second, during implementation. Regional projects involve several countries, utilities, regulators, ministries, and often several financiers. Technical assistance can help keep these actors aligned. It can support procurement, project management, and safeguards. And it can support the coordination structures that are needed to move from planning to delivery. And third, after infrastructure is built, because commissioning and transmission is not the end of the story, it's the beginning of regional operation. And utilities need to trade, systems operators need to coordinate, regulators need to oversee, markets need to settle transactions, and institutions need to solve problems together.
Excellent. I think we will come back to some of these very important points in the second round of questions. Yes, integration is not about assets only. It's also about trust building. It's about institutional cooperation and readiness. And it's about leveraging the power of technical assistance also to lift up institutions that would be able to handle the case and make the case of regional integration stronger. Thank you. We'll come back to those points. Let's move now to VP Copper-Coles. Mr. Vice President, you are a development banker. So how do you see also from a development banking perspective the strategic value of these interconnections for the development of countries and regions?
Well, thank you very much. What this is about in the end is the theory that a French-British economist called David Ricardo invented more than 200 years ago. The theory... Sorry, can you hear me now? Yep. What this is all about is the theory of comparative advantage. The theory invented by the French-British economist David Ricardo more than 200 years ago. It's about generating energy, not just electricity, producing energy and distributing it across borders, across regions in the most efficient way possible that benefits all mankind. So I don't think this morning we should be debating whether regional interconnections are a good thing. We should be debating how we deliver them. And we deliver them through political will, through political confidence, all the points Siegfried and others were making, the minister, by trusting each other, and then setting up the mechanisms for exchanging energy across borders. I'm lucky enough to work for the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank with 111 members across Asia and beyond, connecting Asia with itself, but also connecting Asia with the world. And increasingly, we're investing in the infrastructure of cross-border energy exchanges. The minister mentioned the CASA 1000 project, moving energy across Central Asia. We're very proud to have helped with the restoration of the Nurek hydropower plant, which generates the electricity which is exported along those transmission lines. We're very proud to be working in Southeast Asia on a project which moves wind power generated in the Lao PDR across into Vietnam to be sold and used there. Perhaps even more interesting is work we are doing in Singapore to package loans for this kind of cross-border energy infrastructure development and turn them into securitized products that financial institutions will invest in for the long term. Now, a multinational development bank, just like the GIZ, just like others, can help in all sorts of ways by bringing together different partners, by preparing the projects, by establishing the standards, and by bringing people together. In the end, this is why countries should be working together. Of course, we exchange ideas, we exchange people, we exchange goods, and we should also be exchanging energy. It should be an absolute no-brainer, and as the events since the 28th of February have reminded us, no country is an economic island. We're all connected, and energy connections are vitally important. And AIIB is very proud to play its part in that. Years and years ago, before most of you were born, when I was a young diplomat, I read the records of an exchange between the British Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher, and the French President, François Mitterrand. And Mrs. Thatcher, who was nothing if not a nationalist, said to President Mitterrand, Monsieur Mitterrand, I am passionate about building connectors across the English Channel to connect our electricity systems. Because France had nuclear energy, Britain had coal energy. We needed to exchange them to maximize efficiency in lines with the principles of David Ricardo. So there's nothing really to debate here about whether. It's about the how and getting these sort of connectors built. And the more that are built, the more likely we are to have a secure and peaceful and happy world. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, for those words and reminding us the actuality of some of the historical points that were made today, and today more than ever. Reminding us also that no country is an self-sufficient economic island, and reminding us also the old good truth about the theory of comparative advantages. Thank you very much. Let's move to my brother Abdoulaye, Secretary General of the WAP. Abdoulaye, from also a power pool that you represent, that by design is a structure of interconnection and power exchange and trade. How do you see the strategic value of those type of interconnection undertakings for the development of those regions?
Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. I'll go in English. I see that French is behind. We'll fight for this lady. Thank you for inviting me and giving the floor to say a few words first for WAP. As you said, West African Power Pool is one of the 5 power pools of Africa. And we intend to have the same objective, to build a power market, a single power market of Africa. I'm lucky to be the last speaker because all these gentlemen have said what is necessary. The discussion today is not to say if power is necessary, if integration is essential, but it is to say how can we improve what has been done before us. WAP is gathering 16 countries from Mauritania to Nigeria, and we have 57 members. All of them are power utilities, and our big brother is from Nigeria, and the other 14 countries, we have smaller one and big one. Our challenge is how to bring all these countries, all these power utilities together to achieve integration. It is not only power integration, it comes to social integration, because as we see, the crisis that is coming now in our countries show that some countries are rich in hydro, like Nigeria, like Guinea, like Cote d'Ivoire. Others are rich in gas, like Senegal, Mauritania, and all of us have renewable. So if we try to put in place a strategy to bring money from the banks to do studies and to implement transmission and substation network, then we can share all our energy and to save investment. But before that, we need to be in an organization that everybody trusts the other, and to put in place rules. Suppose a small country like Sierra Leone or Gambia, if today we do not have this interconnection, what will happen? They will run shortage. But today, these countries are bringing power from Cote d'Ivoire, from Guinea, from Senegal at a cheaper rate. They will continue to rent power, very expensive power. So our strategy is to bring all these countries, young countries and big countries, to adopt rules and to come to a very profitable partnership. But it needs reforms, it needs learning, it needs engineering. And unfortunately, most of our children are going abroad. So there is also a capacity building issue. And we need your support, the support of your bank, to build this infrastructure and also to give us the necessary support to go ahead and to launch the power market we want to be in place next year, and to have very profitable and viable power utilities with the support of our states. Our states need to be released from this burden of every time giving subsidies to these power utilities. But all this comes to governance. We'll come to it in our discussion. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Abdoulaye. We all agree, I think, in this panel that it's no longer about asking whether regional power integrations are necessary, but what to do to get the best out of it in terms of sector and economic development. Number two, the power of trade and the value of trade and the ability to minimize cost of investments to respective and individual countries makes it also one of the strategic value of this interconnection. And again, the point that all panelists have mentioned about the necessity to support and build institutions and turn around utilities as a way also to ensure lasting impact. So we'll now move to the second part of this panel discussion, and I will go straight to Deputy Minister Majidi for two questions. I will start with the first one, which is, what are the most important lessons you have derived from the implementation of mega projects like CASA 1000 in the region and currently the Rogun hydropower project in terms of stakeholder coordination and long-term regional reliability in terms of the system?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I already have briefly informed about the CASA 1000, but if I will talk about the Rogun project, Rogun project is one of the biggest HPP project in the region with the highest dam, 335 meter, with overall capacity 3,850 megawatt. And Rogun offers several important lessons for large hydropower and regional energy projects. The first lesson is that preparations. Preparation is important as constructions. A project of this scale requires strong technical studies, credible cost estimates, environmental and social assessment, carefully sequencing, and a clear financing plan. The second lesson is the importance of safeguard and stakeholder engagement. Hydropower can bring major benefits, but it is also has a social, environmental, and regional implications. These must be addressed transparently and responsibly. Strong safeguards are not just a compliance requirement. They help build confidence among communities, financiers, neighboring countries, and development partners. The third lesson is coordination. ROGAN is not only a national generation project. It has implications for regional reliability, clean energy supply, and future electricity trade. This means coordination is needed across government institutions, utilities, regulators, financials, and regional and international partners. For financing of the construction of ROGAN, now we have 12 MDBs, 12 international development partners, which is mean that we used to say, if you remember, there was a logo of Nokia connecting people. We are now saying that ROGAN is connecting development partners, because 12 starting from the World Bank Group, Asian Development Bank is coming, Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, we already have signed the agreement, and we are waiting for Asian Investment Bank and Islamic Development Bank with all Arabic coordination groups. So the coordination is crucial. And what is bringing us that development partners also need to coordinate closely so that financing, technical assistance, safeguards, and policy dialogue move in the same direction. And the fourth lesson, the last one, is that regional reliability depends on more than installed capacity. It's also depend on transmission infrastructure, grid stability, operating rules, market arrangement, and the ability to dispatch power when and where it is needed. In short, ROGAN demonstrates that large hydropower project must be viewed not only as a power plants, but as a strategic platform for national development, regional cooperation, and clean energy security. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister Majdi. I think we will attribute the copyright to you about connecting development partners. It's one of the outcomes of working in these mega undertakings and stakeholder coordination issue. By the way, I'm telling the public to be just a bit of patience. We will at some point turn the mic to you so that we get also some feedback based on your experience or questions you may want to raise to the panelists. So give us a few minutes, we'll turn the mic to you also so that we have a very engaging session. So thank you, Mr. Minister Majidi. Maybe a last question on this front is about your government. So what type of MDBs, or multilateral development bank, support do you believe is the most useful in managing this type of mega undertaking?
Thank you. The MDB support definitely is crucial and valuable when it goes beyond financing alone. Financing is of course essential, but large hydropower and transmission projects like ROGAN and CASA 1000 projects require long-term capital, often on concessional or blended terms, because the benefits are significant but realized over many years. MDBs can help reduce financing costs, extend maturities, and crowd in other sources of capital. But countries also need MDB support in project preparation, as I mentioned before. This includes feasibility study, technical design, environmental and social assessment, climate resilience analysis, legal and commercial structuring, and procurement readiness. Strong preparation improves bankability and reduces implementation risks. A third area is risk mitigation. Regional projects face risks that are technical, commercial, political, and sometimes security related as well. MDBs can provide guarantees, insures, liquidity support, and other instruments that give confidence to investors, utilities, and participating governments. Fourth, MDB can play a convening role. In a multi-country project, coordination is often the most difficult part. MDB can help bring government, utilities, regulators, system operators, and financial around the same table. They can also support harmonized rules on the tariffs, billing, settlement, and dispatch and dispute resolution, which is extremely important. And finally, MDB can support institutional capacity. Regional trade require capable utilities, regulators, transmission operators, and market institutions. Without this capacity, infrastructure may be built but not fully utilized. So from Tajikistan perspective, the most useful MDB support combines long-term financing, project preparation, safeguard, risk mitigation, institutional strengthening, and regional convening. This integrated support is what helps countries move from the national infrastructure project to functioning regional energy market.
Thank you very much. Very important points, and I'm sure the development bankers that are in this room, starting by VP Coles, would only agree with the statement you have made, and IDB is there. I know that representative from World Bank and few other institutions are in the room. These are very important points that definitely we may need to take into account, and that we recognize also as issues and critical element supporting countries further. Thank you very much. We'll move now to Abdoulaye from WAP. Abdoulaye, what must happen? You are an operator, an interconnector, but what do you believe must happen after physical interconnection is made to ensure that cross-border electricity trade remain reliable and commercially sustainable?
Thank you very much. After putting in place interconnection, you have to talk about synchronization. I mean, that countries are synchronized when they run at the same frequency. That means that they respect the rules. So the first step is to put in place rules, the grid code, and how to operate the rules, the network. That's why in WAP, in Cotonou, we have built a coordination center where you can see all the network of the 16 countries. We have operators running 24 hours a day, and they are supervising the trades and the power flow to make sure that the network is reliable and security. So this is the rules, first of all. And all our rules are approved by the regulator. We have a regional regulator called ORERA, which is based in Accra. ORERA and WAP are ECOWAS institutions. So all our members must accept to respect the rules. For example, we have the trade between Gambia and Senegal. They agreed on 50 megawatts to be delivered today. But if Gambia has shortage and they need more, they would like to take more. So if they take 80 megawatts, then they cause trouble to Senegal. So sometimes some countries prefer to open the interconnection to be safe because it is Independence Day maybe. There is a football match between Senegal and France. So this can make trouble to the synchronization. That's why we must first of all respect rules. And we intend to have the African single market and also to synchronize later with Morocco. And you know Morocco is synchronized with Europe. There you have more serious standards. So we have to train to have more, to learn more and to respect the rules to become later a member of this very big network. These are our rules. Secondly, we have also to take meters between the frontiers to measure the flow of power so that we can calculate the invoices. And after that also, you know that before this interconnection, you had some bilateral contracts between some countries. Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, you have Nigeria, Niger, you had also the OMVS and now the OMVG. All these contracts were for 20 years or 30 years. It was binding contracts with very high prices. And these contracts embedded the transmission tariff. Now with the power market we are putting in place, we have to change these contracts to bring them as a standard contract that we have already designed, and also to separate the power from the transmission tariff and the power tariff. So this has to be done with the participant. And can solve some issue, because sometimes when a country has to deliver a power to another country, if themselves have shortage, they stop the delivery. So contract is not respected. And sometimes also people don't pay because of issue of money. If they don't pay, then it is because there is no guarantee. This is the third condition to put in place guarantees. That's why in our upcoming market of the day-ahead market, we have selected a bank for WAP. And this settlement bank is going to check if you have the money already in your account before you get the power. Because invoices have to be settled within only 15 days. Now we have a lot of money which is outstanding invoice between the countries. And then they stop the trading. Sometimes we even open the line between the countries. So this is the condition of payment. And also the last one is to put in place transparency. Because if people know that they can plan to take power from the other country, they are sure that they will get the power at the real time, and the delivering will be paid on time also, then there is trust, which is good. That's why we have to put in place transparency. That's why we are going to do a new reform in WAP, to have one part which is in charge of implementing infrastructures, which is WAP, and the other part which is operation. We'll have a new company which is going to be the system market operator, independent, which is belonging to the transmission system operators. Next year we'll put in place this company. And also we can say that all this can happen only when our states are supporting the participants. That means that the participant must be sure that no political decision can stop power. Like it happened last year, and we lost 3 members in ECOWAS, that is Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. They withdraw from ECOWAS. But now we try to keep them in this power pool. They are still member of WAP, because they know that if you put in place this new company, which is independent, they will continue to trade power as we trade telecom and we trade water. That's why these 6 conditions are necessary to continue, but there is a long journey to run until we finalize, and we need the support of our states and of course the support of the bank also.
Thank you very much. Very, very important point revolving around transparency, rule-based trade, and synchronization and coordination, but government support also. Thank you very much. Now, a last question on this front. How can the West Africa Power Pool advance from bilateral contracts between countries towards deeper regional electricity market, including actions like day-ahead trading and settlement systems? You mentioned about the settlement system quickly, but what about moving from bilateral contract to more deeper regional trade markets?
Yes, this aspect is very important because, as I said, it's related to the reforms also. Now, only Nigeria and Ghana has done the required reforms. There, they have done unbundlement, and you see that in Ghana, we have 11 members in WAP coming from Ghana, and we have 21 members coming from Nigeria in WAP. But in all the other countries, like Senegal, like Cote d'Ivoire, you still have one state-owned company, which is doing transmission, generation, and everything. So reforms are necessary, first, to give access to everybody on the grid. For example, if power is needed in Ghana and there is a company which is in Mali and has enough capacity to sell, this company is not able to sell to Ghana because in Ghana maybe you have one single buyer. So we need to do this reform to enable every participant to buy the power where it is possible, where it is cheaper. So reform is the first thing. The second thing is we can also imagine if our small companies grow and grow and grow, and they need more technologies, they need more studies. Where the money comes from? It comes from the business. So if they don't have good collection, if they don't have reduction of losses, they will not be viable to be able to bring money to implement project. So this also is related to governance. So what we are doing now is to bring all the participants to accept to use our standard PPA. It is standard PPA, it has been designed by WAP. So you have all the provision that is make that PPA is balanced, it is bankable. So this change can take 1 or 2 or 3 years, first of all. And also the guarantees that were in these PPAs were sometimes they were very, very strong guarantees. I mean, sometimes you have 6 months of payment to be put in place in the PPA. And you have to add also the sovereign guarantee. This is too much because if the power you're buying is dispatchable, if it is balanced, then I am sure that it will be taken by the buyer. But if you secure yourself by selling the power, one day the contract will be broken. That's why we are trying to bring our partners to understand what is a contract first and how they can move from the 20 years bilateral contract to come progressively to the day-ahead market. That's why the day-ahead market has been tested last year. We have bought all the software, and now we are ready to run it, and we just are waiting for the approval of the regulator. Once we calculate the fees that are going to be paid to the operator and to the regulator, once all the participants bring their guarantees in their own bank, once the countries have opened the market to the participant, then I'm sure that we can start next year this day-ahead market. And the third phase is also coming maybe in 2028, that is the ancillary service, that is selling the reserve, the margin, selling the reactive power. This is the third step that we can achieve maybe in 2028. So that's why we need to train our partners, we need to bring confiance between them, and to start with 1 or 2 or 3 participants. Our goal is to start maybe with Nigeria, Togo, Benin, Cote d'Ivoire, and Ghana. These countries are already ready to start the market. And then we'll start with the smallest and the smallest. But the main issue is how to bring our participants to be able to pay their bills. That is now, to move from the bilateral to the day-ahead, they have to put guarantees in their account. That's the issue. And we know that our states don't have money to support the companies. Our states don't pay the subsidies. The municipalities don't pay. So this comes again about governance.
Thank you very much. Again, the power of governance. But here also, I believe that development banks have a role to play, leveraging guarantee instruments that help also de-risk the transaction and allow the market to be operating in a more wider scale and building more trust into the system and viability. Thank you for those perspectives. I'm moving to VP Copper Calls. Mr. Vice President, regional energy interconnection are often discussed in technical terms because they are, in essence, also largely technical. That's true. But from your perspective as a development banker, why do they matter for economic development at large, beyond those technical dimensions?
Well, I'm not sure I've anything very new or original to say. Connecting towns, cities, people, economies makes huge sense, whatever commodity we're talking about. ideas, people, goods, services, and energy. And I just don't think that there's a question really for debate here. As I said earlier, it's really about how we do it, how we do this, how we generate the political will across regions and beyond to build the infrastructure necessary to do this. And a bank like the one I work for can help, providing there is the political will. We have, as I said, 111 members across Asia, increasingly across Africa, Latin America, the Middle East, and we can do the technical work. But a necessary but not sufficient condition is that the political leaders are intelligent enough to understand that connectivity matters. Yesterday I quoted the English novelist E.M. Forster, who said the only two words that matter in the English language are only connect. And I think that applies to energy as well. Only connect, and the benefits will flow, and you get the frequencies right, you get the rules right, but the second order issues. It's about understanding in a fragmenting world where some people seem to believe that separation is better than working together, that we stand for connectivity, for open regionalism.
It's beautifully said. Thank you very much, and matters today more than ever. Now, a last question on this chapter, Mr. Copper calls. And you have touched about the political dimension of the matter, but many regional infrastructure initiatives enjoy, at least from the beginning, strong political support for their realization, but later on struggle during implementation. What does it take for us development bank to help countries turning regional ambitions into successful projects that have impacts?
Well, it requires two things, first of all: strategic patience and strategic coherence, but also the willingness to deliver technical assistance throughout the project cycle. It's no good just preparing the project, coming up with the bright ideas, with the PowerPoint slides. It's about building capacity, building political will, delivering it in a coherent way, and seeing it through to the end. Projects like these, CASA 1000, which the Minister mentioned, take years to conceive, build, and deliver. And that's why, at its best, the world owes so much to the World Bank and the vision of people like John Maynard Keynes, who built an institution that in its time represented America and civilization at its best. And we need to continue with those values, with that belief in connection, with patience, with delivery, with building capacity. And exactly, I was very upset to hear about the loss of human capacity in West Africa, the migration. That is a tragedy. And if a bank like mine or others can help you tackle that problem by keeping talent where it's needed, we'd be delighted to do so. Because infrastructure isn't just about transmission lines and ports and concrete. It's about health. It's about education. It's about the cultural values, the infrastructure, like the operating system in a computer of an advanced economy, a healthy society, a happy society.
Thank you very much. Again, very well said. And we take the lesson about strategic patience and coherence high on the agenda, and continue to believe on the power of connection at large. Thank you for that. Now we'll go to Siegfried Leffler, and then With your permission, I think we may turn the mic to the public. I feel bad for this panel timing because we sit also at the period of lunch, and probably people are hungry and tired. So I think I will have to complain to my friends on the programming of the panel. Maybe next time we have to do it just before the lunch, where people would have also more energy. So apologies for keeping you during lunchtime, but and for that we're giving you the bonus to start the Q&A maybe earlier than planned, so that you can be freed also and be able also to connect with the food. This is still the power of connection. So Siegfried, from an implementation partner's perspective, and GIZ, and I guess everybody in the room knows GIZ, the Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit, meaning, I will let you translate that. So it's the German arm for technical cooperation among Germany and the countries. And the working together, the Zusammenarbeit gives also the power of interconnection between people and institutions. So from an implementation partner's perspective, what are the most common bottlenecks that prevent regional interconnection projects from moving from concept to bankable implementation?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, indeed, Zusammenarbeit is cooperation, and this has been said so many times in the interventions of my co-panelists here. So we have, from our perspective, there are three common bottlenecks. The first one is the gap between a strong political vision and a bankable project. So, you know, the strategic case is often very, very strong. You have, I don't know, in Africa alone, almost 600 million people still lack access to electricity. So the case for regional interconnection, as was said here earlier, is absolutely clear. And as you know, was said, there is no debate about that. But for financing, that is not enough. You know, financiers need mature feasibility studies. They need clear demand and supply assumptions. They need safeguards. They need tariff and wheeling agreements, offtake structures, revenue flows, and risk allocation. So the need to see that the project is not only important, but implementable. Second bottleneck is coordination, and that has been said, again, many times, and the Deputy Minister is an expert in that. So, you know, regional projects involve many sectors, they involve many countries, utilities, regulators, ministries, financiers, all kinds of banks. So if responsibilities are unclear, decisions slow down, obviously. And if the coordination mechanisms is weak, even a technical good project is stuck. And the third bottleneck, and that has been said also, is operational readiness. A transmission line only creates value if the connected systems are ready to use it. So real value depends on whether utilities and regulators and system operators can trade electricity, coordinate dispatch, and settle transactions and solve problems across borders. So my main point, again, here would be that a project does not become bankable only because the engineering is sound. Usually that is not the big issue. It becomes bankable when the institutional, regulatory, and commercial and operational framework around it is credible. And this is where I think technical assistance can make a very practical contribution.
Excellent transition, definitely to the last question to you on that side. So, based on your wide experience across a very wide grouping of countries, what lessons can be drawn from GIZ specific experience on building capacities and helping on donor coordination, that famous issue that gives headaches to governments, and long-term sustainability of regional infrastructure programs?
I think the main problem is that there is no one-size-fits-all. Different cultures, different countries, different, so one always has to adapt. But from my experience, I can highlight maybe three practical lessons. Capacity building has to be close, and that Sir Cowper Coles was saying, it, capacity building has to be close to real implementation tasks. Yeah? So, you know, it is not enough to train people just for the training itself. So the question is always, can the institution perform its role better afterwards? Yeah? Can a utility manage cross-border power trade? Can a regulator apply market rules? You know? Can a regional institution bring countries together and solve practical problems? So this is the kind of capacity that matters. So again, capacity that matters. Yeah? Second, donor coordination needs to be actively managed. The idea, so you know, large regional projects usually involve, as we said many times, many partners. So you know, one partner may finance a transmission asset, one may, you know, the support regulation. So this is very powerful, but can become also very fragmented. So I think this active coordination, it's an ongoing task. It's not a, you know, you meet once on a high-level conference, you shake hands, and don't get me wrong, that's important, but that is never enough. Third, sustainability has to be designed from the beginning. So if I take the Ukraine example, more than half of the country's power generation has been destroyed or severely damaged, but resilience is not only about replacing this infrastructure, it is about institutions that can coordinate and the partners make decisions under pressure and keep essential service running. You were saying that earlier with the 3 countries that left the ECOWAS but are still being, so a transition line may be built, but it will only deliver a long-term value if the rules and institutions and so on are in place. Yeah. So my practical takeaway is, you know, and as was said earlier, I think technical assistance, you know, should be built into the investment pathway, you know, not only in the beginning or in the end or somewhere. It needs to be, you know, the real test is always whether it works in practice and continues to work over time.
Thank you very much, Siegfried. So, as promised, and with your permission, I think we will go directly to the public to seek questions or reactions or sharing also of lessons based on the so diverse experience that they may have. So or questions directly to the panel. So if we can have 2, 3 interventions. I see one hand started in the background. I think it's Farhan, and then we will go to in the front here, and then there, and here. So if you could, when you stand, give your name and institution. That will help also identify you, and we move from there. So, yes, I can lend a microphone, okay.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you so much for a very insightful session. My name is Farhan Rashid. I'm the Head of Operations, Quality and Monitoring at the Islamic Development Bank. My question is that what are the biggest policy and regulatory barriers, in your opinion, that are preventing from promoting further cross-border collaboration? Because the logical fit is that regional integration should be a very natural phenomena for economic and inclusive growth. But what are the policy barriers that prevent it from happening? Thank you.
Thank you, Farhan. So I suggest we seek answers directly and then we go. Otherwise, we might club too many questions. Yeah, who is willing to? Yeah.
A couple of words.
Deputy Minister.
My colleagues will also add some other their views. Of course, if we are talking about barriers, it's about differences of regulatory basis in the countries. These are also kind of natural barriers, which each country work on their standards in terms of the interconnection. If we are talking about particular electricity, my colleague mentioned here about frequency of the lines, all the things. But also there might be some intergovernmental political issues which is we should consider during developing a project in the region on the regional level. I mean, some issues regarding with the water policy, because HPPs, they do have implication, as I mentioned before, on the stream countries. We need to work with them. And of course, the important things which we should consider is about the tariff, because to export the electricity, it means that there should be affordable tariffs when you can export your generating your surplus. But if your neighboring countries, for example, using different sources or cheaper, much cheaper source of generating electricity, it will make, of course, barrier as well.
Just offer two quick comments. First, I think the barriers are often psychological. These questions are too important to be left to ordinary politicians. They require leaders of vision who really care about the welfare of their people. Secondly, the other barrier is the financial engineering necessary to turn the trillions of surplus around the world waiting to be invested in worthwhile projects into investment in projects of this kind. And that is why the work we did, for example, with Bayfront in Singapore, turning these individual projects into securitized investments that interest investment managers sitting in New York or Frankfurt or Paris or London, wherever it may be, Hong Kong. That is so important. The mechanical engineering, the electrical engineering, in a way is the easy bit. It's the political will and the financial engineering.
Thank you, Mr. Majidi and Sir Copper Coals. Siegfried wants to complement. So you see, Farhan, your question has raised a lot of interest.
Yeah, just wanted to complement what you just said. I just wanted to, it's on, right? Yeah. So very briefly, and I mean, we encounter that often, but in our experience, these alignment processes that the Deputy Minister and Sir Copper Coals were saying, they take time. They take time and patience, and they're the tedious long-term work where that do the foundation for such regional integration. As I was saying earlier, it's institutions that integrate, and that takes time.
Thank you very much. So I think, yes, you are the next.
Good morning. Thank you very much. So my name is Naufal Darari. I am Project Finance Director at ONIM, Morocco. ONIM is the national oil and gas company in Morocco. So I'd like to share the experience that we have in terms of cross-border energy transmission systems, which is the project that we are managing with our Nigerian friends from NNPC, which is the African Atlantic Gas Pipeline, linking Nigeria to Morocco, crossing 13 countries on the Atlantic coast, plus 3 landlocked countries that were mentioned by Mr. Dia earlier, which are Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali. I was listening very carefully to the presentation, and I think that we have a lot of common ground between this project and the subject of this panel. First, because this project will be channeling very valuable hydrocarbons to West African countries first that are in major need of these hydrocarbon molecules, but also because gas still is the backbone of the energy transition because of intermittency problems and its quality as a dispatchable energy source of energy. My question is to Mr. Copper Coals. To which extent your honorable organization could take part in this project, which is very game-changing for the African Atlantic in particular, either in the equity side or in the debt side? Thank you.
Well, I'm only a pretend banker. I'm not we believe in using technology to accelerate investment, and we believe in, above all, mobilizing finance from elsewhere, both from other multilateral development banks, from governments, and from the private sector. So we certainly look at it, but let's talk about it afterwards, not me on stage. Thanks.
Thank you very much. There's a gentleman there, and then we come to my brother on the front. Yeah.
Yes, hello. My name is Ram, and I'm a finance and accounting student in France. And thank you for the discussion. It's very interesting. And I'd like to ask you concerning the effects of huge projects, like, for example, the negative effects, such as, for example, the Renaissance Dam that is being built in Ethiopia. We could see that it brings huge benefits to Ethiopia, which there is no doubt about it, but it's been controversial, for example, for the other countries that are on the Nile River, like Egypt and Sudan, and which will have a huge effect on water scarcity for these countries. So how could relevant stakeholders of those kind of projects, whether it's in the present projects or future projects, take in consideration those kind of risks? Because we have seen interregional cooperation is very important, but when projects like those have negative effects on other countries in the region, how could we avoid those or make those problems less of a problem?
Not an easy question. I don't know if there is any volunteer. Okay, Abdullah, you want to? Yeah, maybe we start with Abdullah, and we come to Deputy Minister.
I have one example, is organization of River of Senegal, OMVS. The River of Senegal comes from Guinea, it crosses Mali, Mauritania, and all the hydropower plants that have been built were done by this organization instead of being done by Guinea or by Mali. So they put in place this organization of the 4 countries, and they said the river is a common good for all the 4 countries, for agriculture, for irrigation, for navigation, and for power. So all projects must be decided by these 4 countries, by the head of states, the ministers, and we put in place organization, we put in place 2 companies, one for projects, it is SOGEM, and one was operation. I was the MD before I came to WAP. And since 2002, we built the Manantali hydropower. We built 2,000 kilometers of high voltage going in every country, and we sold power to the 3 companies with shares, and all of us pay back the investment. No one can do anything in this grid without approval of our committee. The same example can be taken for OMVG. And lastly, in East of Africa, there is Rwanda, Burundi, and Tanzania. They are sharing the hydropower, the same, Ruzumu. I was an independent board member there. It's the same diagram. So if you want to avoid this kind of issues, let us share our projects and do it at the regional level. That's what is being done now in WAP for the transmission, but we hope one day to do it in the same way in the generation.
Yeah, thank you, Abdullah. So, yeah, okay, and then we can.
It's a very good question. At AIIB, we have something called the Project Affected Peoples Mechanism. So when we look at a big project, we always, the people managing the project, look at those who might be affected by the project negatively. And we try to take soundings. One of the efforts I've been leading in the bank is to treat civil society not as an enemy, but as an ally. We should engage with civil society, with groups who are likely to be affected by our projects. And we've learned a lot from the experience of the World Bank and others. It isn't to say there's more to learn, and it isn't to say that every project is completely cost-free. As they say in French, gouverner, c'est choisir. You have to choose, but you've asked the right question. There isn't one simple answer.
Thank you, Sir Kauper-Coles. Deputy Minister Majidi wanted to add a point on this
Yeah.
very interesting question.
And very short, Ed, people constructing HPP not to conserve water. The HPP not conserving water and not reserving the water. The HPP, vice versa, they are interested on the more flow of the water to generate more water, more energy. And moreover, as my colleague said here, there is also different positive impact on HPPs. It's not only about what my colleague mentioned about agriculture, irrigation, but nowadays is about flood management, it's about risk disaster management, which help HPP to tackle all these concerns.
Thank you very much. But this is a key question, definitely, that we, at least at development banks level, we consider very seriously. And when we engage into such type of risk, we make sure that there is some sort of agreement between the riparian countries that share the resources. And Abdullah was referring to that. And we were in the preliminary remarks saying that power projects, interconnection projects, could be also peace builders if they are approached the right way. Yeah, but I think that the panelists have elaborated more on that. Thank you very much, and yes.
Thank you. My name is Muhammad Isa Hassan, Director General of National Board for Student Services. I have a quick question to Mr. Abdullah Dia. The WAB is a very good project, so just I'm curious, do you integrate other interconnection, like the case of Pakistan, like internet connection? And the second question, with the rise of microgrid, especially the solar panel, is it a challenge for you or is it opportunity? Thank you.
Good question, and maybe I will ask Hussein Mugabel, the manager for energy, to warm up, and I would apologize to the audience, since we want to free you to be able to have your lunch before everything is finished. Maybe we'll be trying to shorten the length of the discussion. So after this response, we'll call upon the manager for the closing remarks, if you allow. And also, I know that the minister has a heavy engagement that just follows. So please, but for the answer.
Thank you. I'll start by the last question. Microgrid is not a challenge for us because it's a complementary. As you know, managing a grid needs, first of all, to have a basis power plants that are reliable, running all the year and delivering very cheap power that is generally coal, hydro, and gas. And you have a second type of generation that is regulating, that you can shut down, sometimes more expensive, but complementary. And investing very far in the country, sometimes it is very expensive. So we need to have a mix of it, to have isolated. Sometimes you synchronize it, sometimes you share. And every piece of energy is useful. It has been shown these last weeks. People who shut down their coal power plants or some shut down their heavy fuel power plants now have started to re-energize. That's why I call for the MDBs to think about it. Clean energy is very good, but in the power sector, if everything is renewable, then how can we manage the reliability and the security of the grid? It is essential to have many stages. That's why there is no definite rules, there is no definite formula. And what is showing us every day that was very evident is not now evident. So we must think about how to share the risk. Let us keep the mix of energy, let us keep the mix of technology. So can you repeat the first question that I can ask? Yes.
Do you integrate other interconnection like internet, like the case of Kazakhstan? they go beyond electricity.
Yes,
Yeah.
telecom or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
In WAP, we manage power, that is transmission, power from point A to point B. But as you know, when you erect the towers, you put also fiber. So we are implementing a new company of dark fiber, that is to share technology of IT, because as I say, the power sector is the biggest client of internet. When I was building the transmission network in Senelec, I put every time 36 fibers. And we see now that needs are growing. At that time, we did not use more than 1 megabytes. But today, with the focus, with the AI, with supervision of the network, with the metering, all these new technologies need more data. That's why I say that the power utilities is the biggest client of telecom. That's why we need to implement. In WAP, we are launching next month, tendering to have a company which is going to deal with all our fiber. Every company will give 2 or 3 pairs of fiber, and we will use them to monitor the network, of course, but also to give it to the telecom companies to make money. Maybe one day we'll use it for focus, we'll use it for other things, what we don't know today. And railways have the same opportunity also. And also the highways, the oil companies, every time you have a road that is a backbone, you can put your fiber. Because one day we'll discover something which is new. So you're right, we must make this opportunity to bring all these capacities. And it is the same formula in mathematics that is dealing this, same equation, that is dealing for the rivers, for the blood network, for the power sector, and for the hydroelectricity, the same formula. We are lucky for that.
Thank you very much. We are lucky also to have such a panel and such a good discussion today. And it's a good way of ending the panel discussion here. Again, the power of interconnections, the power of intersectorality. Where Abdullahi finished it is also that. Interconnecting countries, interconnecting networks, interconnecting regions, but also interconnecting sectors. We talk about transport, we talk about energy, we talk about ICT. And this is something we try to encourage also now in our projects. To member countries that come with a highway project, we tell them, think about putting optic figures along the corridor. Those who come with transmission lines, we tell them, why don't you use the opportunity to also lay telecommunication networks along the lines? And Sir Kapokol was talking about that. Connect, the power to connect. It's about connection. Connect the people, connect the sectors, connect the institutions, connect the countries and their economies, connect the markets. So I would like to thank the panel. The stage has been very, very engaging discussion. We don't have enough, certainly, but we just need to also share with the audience also opportunities to take care of connecting, as I said, with nutrition in a way, but also enabling you to be able to be freed for other obligations, certainly. So with your permission, I will be asking 2 last things. One is to ask Brother Hussein to come with the concluding remarks. And before you leave the stage, to have a group picture so that we remember what has been discussed here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Idrissa, and thank you for the panelists for the very insightful thoughts, and we were lucky to have this mix of expertise and institutions to cover this important topic. I would like also to thank the Ministry of Energy of Azerbaijan for supporting and having this session. We can end up with very clear messages from this sessions. Regional interconnection is not anymore an option. It's critical for energy security, for energy affordability, for development agenda, and by linking the national systems, countries can share reserve, can share infrastructure, can share resources, and it's in the benefits of all involved countries in such programs. We need to keep in our mind, as from the discussion, we need to keep in our mind that the interconnection is not just a physical assets, not just substations, transmission lines, as mentioned by the esteemed panelist here. It's more about building trust, institutions, rules, and long-term collaboration. We cannot say that energy projects, regional energy interconnection projects succeed with just having the power flow. We need to have contracts, needs to be honored, and the benefits are shared fairly between the involved countries. We can summarize some practical examples highlighted in the sessions. Strong political ownership and regional cooperation are important, is a must. Second, bankable projects preparation, comprehensive feasibility studies, environmental studies needs to be ready. Third, regularity, harmonization, and market design are essential to ensure the success of such program. And fourth, diversified financing and risk mitigation are important. We have huge investment are needed usually in this type of projects. So thinking in advance about the financing mechanism and risk mitigation are important. And finally, success must not be measured only on the megawatt that has been traded between countries, about job created, services improved, industries powered, and opportunities to the populations. It's more than just how many kilometers of roads or even in the megawatt of energy side. For ISDB as one of the development institutions and the message for all other MDBs also, we will be working and continue working with member countries and partners to identify regional programs as one of the fundamental pillars of the ISDB strategy. And we will continue contributing on preparing bankable projects and helping member countries in the regulatory frameworks and mobilize financing. Lastly, let's use this discussion today for more practical actions, prioritize feasible corridors, advance urgent reforms needed, mobilize private capitals, and private capitals involvement are critical. We need to address the issue of the barriers that prevent private capitals to come in and try to address it through the proper policy regulatory frameworks. Finally, I would like again to thank the speakers and participants and all partners, and we are looking forward to continue this dialogue and to translating this dialogue into recommendation and concrete collaboration and concrete programs that we can implement in the future. Thank you so much.
We have a warm last round of applause for the panel that delivered. And I think we are ready for the group photo, and then we will free our friends for the lunch and the other sessions. Thank you very much for attending.
J'aime ça beaucoup, j'aime ça beaucoup. J'aime ça beaucoup. J'aime ça. C'est très pratique. C'est très clair. Non, c'était un grand plaisir.
It's already in your phone. Yeah, but it's not getting open. Hepsi başlayacak. Çıktı da dedi çıkıram. Əslində daşımalıyam. Prosta zaldan biri daşıyır. Bilmədim, ondan götürə bilmədim. Türkçüylə değil mi? Bilmirəm. Gəlib təmizləməyi çağıraq. Çox dəyişək. Burası. Qalırsın. Öyle mi konuşuyoruz? Yok. Siz gidebiliriz. Yok oturmak yok. Burada oturmaya lazım da şeydi. Hanıma приложение zaten yüklüyordum. Mikrofon şeyle yaz da bırakalım. Yukarılar zaten açık.
4, 5, 1. I think I have to be closer. Yeah, now it's working. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. I'm glad to have so many people around, especially after the lunch. So thank you very much for taking your time out. This session that we are going to start, please take your seat as soon as you come in, as we are beginning the session. I would like to thank everybody for participating in this important session that we are going to showcase. It will be divided into 3 segments. We will have an opening session,
Microphone.
Without further ado, I would like to start with the local counterpart. We are very much thankful to the government of Azerbaijan to help us, co-create this event and host us over here. So I would like to welcome the Deputy Minister of Digital Development and Transport from Azerbaijan, Mr.
Yeah, you need it just, yeah, it works, Well, distinguished representatives of Islamic Development Bank Group, Excellencies, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to welcome you here in Baku city and to join you for this important conversation on harnessing the artificial intelligence to advance the digital economies of our region. As a host country, allow me to thank the Islamic Development Bank Group for convening these annual meetings and for placing artificial intelligence, digital public infrastructure, and regional cooperation at the center of the discussions. These themes sit naturally within the guiding idea of our gathering, regional integration for sustainable prosperity, and within the group's 10-year strategic framework.